am really going to be looking for your comments today because this is a comprehensive analysis of the future, the present actually, and the future of Optimus. And I think it's correct. And I really need to know. If you're going to comment, though, please make it comprehensive. Tell me where I'm wrong, why I'm wrong, but tell me in detail that makes a strong argument. All right, but first of all, I want to have some fun. From Forbes, these are some of the folks that were certain that the iPhone would be an absolute disaster. Let's start with Microsoft Steve Ballmer. He said there's no chance that the iPhone is going to be any significant market share. No chance. It's a $500 subsidized item. They may make a lot of money, but if you actually take a look at the 1.3 billion phones that get sold, I prefer to have our software in 60% or 70% or 80% of them than I would to have 2% or 3%, which is what Apple might get. And then there was Seth Porges or something Porges, and he says, and this is from TechCrunch. A bunch, I guess, got together at TechCrunch, and this was their predicted failure. That virtual keyboard will be about as useful for tapping out emails and text messages as a rotary phone. Don't be surprised if a sizable contingent of iPhone buyers express some remorse at ditching their BlackBerry when they spend an extra hour each day pumping out emails on the road. Then there was tech author David Platt. He wrote on his blog in 2007 that the iPhone will crash in flames. I have 3 specific reasons why the iPhone's design will cause it to crash in flames the way Apple's late and unlamented Newton did, only much more loudly and publicly because of all the hype it's gotten. Well, first, the iPhone ignores the main reason that the iPod succeeded: simplicity and ease of use. Second, the iPhone crams too many functions into a single box, putting everything in the same package so you only have to carry one box. It sounds like a good idea until you want to listen to music while surfing the web or reading your email or playing a game. Third, users will detest the touchscreen interface due to the lack of tactile feedback. Using a thumb keyboard, as on the very popular Trio phone, allows the user to feel the keys and know subconsciously he's about to press the right one and not the one next to it. A touch screen just doesn't allow that, so the user will have to be looking at the keyboard at all times while using it. Then there was tech journalist Bill Ray. Ray, writing for the Register at the time, said the Apple phone will not just fail, but fail badly. The Apple phone will be exclusive to one of the major networks in each territory, and some customers will switch networks just to get it, but not as many as had been hoped. As customers start to realize that the competition offers better functionality and lower price by negotiating a better subsidy, sales will stagnate. After a year, a new version will be launched, but it will lack the innovation of the first and quickly vanish. The only question remains is if, when the iPhone fails, will it take the iPod with it? And then finally, there's tech writer Mitchell Ashley writing for Network World. He predicted the iPhone will fail because of overcrowded mobile phone market. The phone will fail to dominate as so many other Apple products have failed to do in the past. The iPhone is certain to fade into history as another cool Apple innovation that others soon rushed competitive products to market, blowing away any significant lead. Well, anyway, there you go. I just thought that would be fun to take a look at. There's more actually, but I think that's enough for now. I want you to think about these comments made about a product that has fundamentally changed so much of your daily life, a product that you're almost never more than 6 inches away from. Think about that as I walk you through my thinking about the Optimus Bot, the present situation, and the near and eventual future. This is Randy Kirk. Please hit like. If you like all the things we're doing about Optimus Bot, it is going to be the most important product in history. It will dwarf the iPhone as being important as a product. So hit like, hit notify if you want to be reminded that Brian White is not going to be on today. He had power outage problems up in Washington, and so we weren't able to record, but he'll be on tomorrow and Wednesday. And then I think Larry will be joining me with a program midday on Thursday. So, and then of course, you want to buy your Cybertruck, $25. You know you want one. That's all I'm going to talk about at the very end. I'll talk about the Cybertruck at the very end. All right. Join Patreon. Of course, you want to join Patreon. You want to support the channel so that I can keep doing this. All right. Let's start with the use case. Now, understand, I'm getting comments. I'm getting even some of my buddies on X who are saying some of the things like you heard just up above there about the Optimus. Oh, it'll never do this or never do that, or it'll take 6 years. It'll, the technology is not even close to being done. All kinds of these negative comments. I'm now going to take those arguments and those thoughts one by one. I'm going to give you my most up-to-date and clear, I hope, clearly stated analysis, and I want you to tear them up, okay? Let me know, but do it in detail. That's the ones I like. All right, let's start with use case. We want to start at the most fundamental place when it comes to any new product. I have developed, I have created, I have designed, I have invented, I have patents. I don't know, probably 200 or 300 products over my career. That probably is close. A bunch of them are products that are still in use 50 years, 60 years after I brought them to market. Some products I didn't invent, but I was the first one to have the product in a way that could be introduced and sold nationally or internationally, in most cases internationally. I know a little bit about getting a product off the ground, all right? So where you want to start, if anybody brings me an invention, the place that I start with is, can you build this thing at a reasonable cost that allows it to be sold at a price that people will pay for it? Okay, that's just key. A compelling price at a compelling product at a compelling price is how Elon Musk puts it. So if you can build the humanoid robot at a reasonable cost that allows the item to be sold or rented at a reasonable or profitable amount, will there be a large market? What will the total addressable, the TAM, look like? Elon Musk, who's generally pretty smart about these things, I don't know. Has he been wrong about the TAM of anything? He believes that the TAM for Optimus is 7 to 14 billion units. 7 to 14 billion units. 2 per person. Now, he believes it will replace all labor. That's a hyperbolic statement. It's not going to replace all labor, but it's going to replace a lot of labor. Let's say 4 billion. Let's say that there's 4 billion laborers or 3 billion or 2 billion, that labor that will be replaced. And then there's units that will be used in your home, just like you might have the robot that cleans your rugs right now, but it'll be much more capable than that, but that'll be a little while down the road. Not immediately, because you won't be able to afford them until the industrial users get out of the way. But there's another thing. It will create opportunities for making things or offering services that could not be done with human labor. Okay, so something, let's say, you might have an item that right now it would cost $15 an hour for the labor to make it. And that's going to make it cost, let's say, $25. But if you can make it for $5, all of a sudden it costs $15. Okay. That's kind of a rough idea of how labor impacts the price of something. So if you've got that situation, something that would be there's not a chance that it would sell at $25, but it would sell all day long at $15. Now that product becomes a reality. Same thing with services, okay? You also have situations where the bot will be able to go and survive or go places where humans are not willing to go. It can survive where humans can't survive. It can go where humans don't want to go in terms of heights, in terms of weather, in terms of conditions, in terms of danger, all kinds of situations that just can't be done today, and the bot will be able to do those things. I could probably go on for an hour talking about the places where the Optimus can go that's going to create absolutely new jobs, new positions, new opportunities that you cannot do with human labor. That could be an entire program, probably an hour's worth. Maybe I'll do that someday. So some claim okay, those are things we understand. It can replace that laborer. In my particular business, I've said this before, it could have replaced the blow mold people. It could have taken care of the injection molding department. It could have taken care of the extrusion department. Probably could have done bottle printing. That's a little harder task, but it could have done all of those tasks, putting the caps on the bottles. It could have not only done all of those tasks, but you have the people that are feeding the product to the printers and the injection molders. You have the people that are taking away the product and taking it to the next station. Okay, so you have what we call the upstream and the downstream. Okay, so lots of people that it could replace. Well, guess what? Here's a statement I'm going to make. You should record this. You should write it down. This will be those people that think it's going to be hard to find the market, that it's going to be hard to find people that are going to put down $50,000 a year. Those will be the individuals who have never owned a factory. They've never owned a restaurant, a construction company, a warehouse distribution company, or they have never sold to or worked with factories, restaurants, contractors, or distribution warehouse companies. Well, I've owned most of those businesses or I have been a consultant for most of those kinds of businesses. And I can tell you that these businesses, okay, you're always looking for ways to get rid of labor. Now, that was true 50 years ago when I started out. I was still looking for ways to get rid of labor. But now with all the federal nonsense and all the state nonsense and all the city nonsense that they pile on top of you, then you're even more interested in getting rid of labor. So you're always looking, is there a way that I can replace that labor? And then that was a short list. You could add to the list farmers and nursing homes and delivery services, and it could go on and on and on from there. I could do another hour on that one. Okay. And then the problem is, if I don't want to replace my labor, if I'm not paying attention to replacing my labor, and my competitor does, and I'm paying $20 an hour for my labor, and my competitor is now paying $5 an hour for his labor, I'm toast. I'm done. That's it. It's not going to be good. Anyway, I'm trying to think of any of the tens of thousands of owners I've known in my career. Believe me, I've known tens of thousands. Remember, in the bicycle industry, I wrote all the books that had ever been written about bicycle retailing. I was a speaker at all the national conventions. I was in all the conferences and conventions with a booth. I probably knew 500 bicycle dealers on a first-name basis. That's just in that bicycle world. Then there was the locksmith world and the hardware world and the mass merchandising world. And it went on and on and on and on, the advertising specialty world. So yeah, I've probably known 10,000 owners over my career. I don't think I could think of a single person that I've ever known that would think for 30 seconds about replacing a $60,000 a year employee with a $60,000 a year bot, if that bot could actually do everything the employee could do. Well, the only reason you would not replace that person with a bot would be because you're lonely and you need employees as your friends. And I'm only talking at this point about an even trade out, dollars for dollars. When you're talking about replacing that employee with 2 shifts or 3 shifts or 4 shifts, so you're replacing that $60,000 employee with a $60,000 bot 4 times, and now you're getting $240,000. Some people say they're having trouble figuring that math out. I think that's pretty simple math. I don't understand at all. This is something Gary Black talks about constantly. He says, I'm not confident. I don't know how I can do the math. Therefore, I'm going to state with certainty and with the backing of Elon Musk that there will be no issue selling or renting these robots, and that the TAM is virtually unlimited. Well, if you have a virtually unlimited TAM, then you can sell or lease it for a lot of money. You just basically need to figure out how it will make you money. And I did an entire video last week that showed that the savings for most factories will be at least double the wages of the employees being replaced due to the savings and costs of things. Let's see. So you've got those costs that I just talked about, right? I want to make this really, really clear. You've got those costs that I just talked about. So your employee costs you, he's paid $30 an hour. That's $60,000 a year without all the Social Security, all that rest of that stuff. So if you're talking about a $60,000 a year employee, you're really talking about somebody who has a wage of $22 an hour, roughly. Okay. But that's not where the savings ends. That's just the savings on the actual wage, the actual dollars and cents that you're paying that individual and or paying on top of that in terms of Social Security, et cetera. Okay. But now you have to add in the costs related to hiring, training, retraining, vacations, pensions, management oversight, human resources demands, breaks, sickness, differential working speeds, and so much more. But even without all these savings, the owner will prefer the bot to the employee if the cost is about the same. Automation experts apparently say, I haven't never seen the stat yet, but I've read it a couple of times this last week by people that are arguing this case, that you need to save more than just the labor. And I'm saying that is nuts. Most CPAs and owners I've talked to, and me as an owner, I would have been happy to save the cost of the employee over 2 years. So if the employee is costing me $30,000, I'll pay $60,000 for the automation equipment, and then the equipment makes me money after 2 years. Happily do that all day long. Now, most of the time I didn't have enough money to buy the equipment that would take me 2 or 3 years to pay off. I was looking for, and I found equipment all the time that would pay off in 1 year. Okay. But 2 years was no big deal. And I know banks will give you a lease or give you a loan based on it paying for itself over a 2 and sometimes even a 3-year period. Well, in the early days, this bot could rent probably for $150,000 a year, because the first people that are going to buy this are people that have 3 or 4 shifts, and they're going to outbid those that don't. Does that make sense? If that doesn't make sense, let me know in the comments. But I suspect the rent will be closer to 60,000. That's just a dream. That's just my kind of like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I think people would pay 5,000 a month easily, and that might be where it kind of works out. Might end up being 150,000 for the first year or two, just like you've got the Cybertruck even now, right now at 120,000, and it's probably worth 80. Okay. Anyway, that's my idea. Some say that it's too ridiculous to even calculate, but I've done these calculations all the time in a manufacturing business. Now, look, I really liked my employees, but I was still always looking for ways to be more profitable than my competition. And automation was a huge one. And we were always putting in automation equipment that could replace humans, or that would not require that we hire more humans in the future. Assuming the Optimus can do the job, this is an easy decision. It's not even a little bit hard. I don't get what the issue is here. Maybe you can help. And the cost of the bot is also not that hard. So the second thing would be the cost. It's not that hard to figure out. Some have said maybe 20 grand. Scott Walter and I have estimated $6,000. Scott Walter is an expert in this area. He knows the robot game backwards, forwards, and inside out. And he's done an analysis where he's taken piece by piece, every actuator, every finger, every plastic part, piece by piece. And he believes it's going to be around 6 grand when it's done in volume. I have not seen a comprehensive analysis of the cost that proved it's any dollar amount above 6,000 that Scott Walter came up with. Okay. And I've gone down that list with him on a program months and months and months ago, like probably 9 months ago. We went item by item, and I couldn't see where there was anything on that list that I didn't agree with. And I have been buying stuff for automation and buying stuff for my factories for my entire career. Anyway, so I think the cost is somewhere between 6 and 20,000. I'm going with 6, but maybe it'll be 8 in the beginning. I don't know. Okay. What about the current status? Many people are arguing with me about whether there's currently a Skunk Works, where many dozens or hundreds of hand-built bots are currently being trained to do actual tasks for Tesla or others. Now, I want to address all of those concerns, or maybe I won't get to all of them, but I'm going to do the ones that most people are raising. Okay. I'm saying once again, there is a Skunk Works. There is a building out there, and there's probably close to 1,000 bots there. That's my guess. But maybe it's only 500. Maybe it's only 250, but it's a lot. And they're out there doing the actual tasks that they're going to need to do in the Tesla manufacturing facilities. So number one, Tesla and every other similar tech company has a Skunk Works. You can call them design centers, engineering headquarters, you can call them whatever you want. But there are many ways to set this up, but they're all highly secretive. Do you believe that there's currently a Skunk Works for the Generation 3 vehicle? Of course it is. So why wouldn't there be a similar setup for Optimus? And maybe you're thinking, oh, well, no, it's just, 8 offices and a small room where they have 5 Optimi that are doing what they do, and that's all it is, and that's the Skunk Works. No, this is a major product. This is the biggest product in history, according to Elon Musk. He has got bunches of folks working on this. I think most people think it's over 250 at this point that are working on it. Well, that takes a building all in itself to house 250 people. And I'm saying there's a very large facility that has got hundreds, if not thousands, of bots. Well, hundreds, hundreds and or maybe like close to 1,000 or maybe 1,000. All right. So I think that's what's happening. There's a Skunk Works. Well, what about the cost? It would be so expensive. Do you know what those 250 people are costing? Right. So, but even so, let's say what would be the cost of all of these, my 1,000 bots, my 1,000 bots? Okay. Even if every part, or almost every part, was 3D printed, and then the entire thing was assembled by hand, I dare anyone to show me how they're going to cost more than 20 grand. So let's double that. And then we'll add 10,000. Let's say 50,000 each. They're costing 50,000 a piece to build. Do you know how much 1,000 of those would cost? Do the math. $50 million. Well, $50 million, that's a lot of money, right? But Tesla is spending $1 billion to build Dojo. Do you really think they would hesitate to spend 5% of that amount on bots? Not a chance. So building 1,000, no big deal in terms of the cost, no big deal in terms of the what it would take to do it. No big deal in terms of the facility that it would take in order to have a really cool Skunk Works with hundreds of these guys. Anyway, I let me know in the comments if you think I'm completely nuts. Number 3, almost every single naysayer about the current status of Optimus is concerned about the brain and what Tesla has been able to do to create useful applications. Well, I'm thinking that some of these critics think that Tesla is behind on this, and they haven't been able to teach Optimus to make a 3-course meal like those 3 Stanford students using off-the-shelf stuff. Come on now. If you didn't believe it 3 weeks ago, if you thought 4 weeks ago that they couldn't do useful tasks, do you still believe it after seeing the videos you've seen in the last couple of weeks from Figure and from that Stanford group? Oh my goodness. Number 4, managing the workspace. There's a lot of concern from folks that they're worried that Optimus is too immature to be placed in factory settings. He's going to be getting in the way. He's going to be falling down. He's going to be creating chaos. You know what? Most of the factory jobs that I expect Optimus to be good at require moving around in less than a 10 by 10 foot workspace. Most of these jobs are done seated, although Optimus could stand, but he could sit down if he wanted to. Well, when I put in automation in my factories, there was never a time, not one single time, when we ever had any barriers. There were no rules of engagement. There was no concerns about the automatic equipment adding to the problems in the factory. Often we had flames. We always had moving parts. We always had hot places. We commonly had knives, grinders, and other dangerous elements. But it took about 10 minutes for any worker with 100 IQ or more to be able to see and understand where the dangers were. And with Optimus, as far as I know, there are no flames. Moving parts are all covered. No hot places, no knives, no grinders. So how long is it going to take to teach this Optimus to be able to manage himself in a 10-foot square area and, do his job? Number 5, training. Some think that it will be difficult or time-consuming to train the bots. I wonder if any of these folks have ever trained a human. Yeah, the simplest tasks can take months or years to train. At In-N-Out, my son worked at In-N-Out, went up all through the management stuff, and I listened to everything he told me about what they do because they do everything amazingly. He said brand new employees come in, they do janitorial jobs and oversee the equipment and the supplies in the dining room when they first come on the job. Most employees take weeks to learn how to manage all these tasks in the In-N-Out way. Then, after they've been there 3 months or so, they move up to taking orders, where now they must be trained to smile, be nice, and make change. And believe me, in the modern world, making change for the individuals who take these jobs, that can be a challenge. Well, let's say that it takes 1,000 hours to train the bot to do the janitorial work that those people are doing. Well, you would never have to replace that bot, ever. Never have to train another one. It's not going to move up in rank. It will just do that job all day and all night for multiple shifts. It will work, I think, be very close to 4 shifts for an In-N-Out. And then, it'll never fail to do the job required. Now, of course, there could be failures, things go wrong. You've got, moving parts and things that can go wrong, but you can have backup bots that'll have exactly the same training. And you just put the backup bot in and it takes over immediately and does exactly what it's supposed to do. And once it's trained, the entire fleet is trained. So a janitorial bot that you trained for 1,000 hours in one location can now be placed in all of the locations that have a similar layout, and the ones that don't have a similar layout, I'm gathering that maybe it would take less than 100 hours. And if it takes 100 hours, it would still be a bargain. Don't you think? Of course it would be. And I don't think it'll take 100 hours. You saw the coffee, the one, forget who it was that had I think that was Figure, that was operating the coffee machine, or some of those other, I think it was from those Stanford students they said it only took 50 examples. They only had to show the bot how to do the job 50 times and it could do the job. That doesn't take 1,000 hours, doesn't take 100 hours. Anyway, I think the training is a nothing burger, especially because once it's trained, it's trained. And that's not true for humans. Number 6, how soon could Tesla have a line that would make 100,000 per year, or 1 million a year, or 10 million per year? Some argue that Tesla will be super careful to get that first bot out so that it's at an amazing level of capability before they begin production. But that flies in the face of Tesla's policies. Iterate fast, fail forward, and then continue to iterate. That's what they do at Tesla. If they have a bot that can keep its balance in most expected circumstances, can do useful tasks at a speed nearly that of a human, or maybe equal to or faster than a human, and there's no clear hazards, they will, in my humble opinion, start producing them. That's just me. The bot has multiple components like a car. Tesla has new ideas for cars every single day. And they make those changes every single day, unlike other car companies that wait 2 years or 3 years before they do a whole bunch of changes at once. Tesla's used to being in the business of iterating rapidly, sometimes making multiple changes in a single day. They don't have to wait until they have every possible idea baked in before they put a product on the line. If Tesla thinks they will have a better way to do a hand in 3 months, great. They'll work on that while they're building the current hands. And then if the new one is better, they change it. And then it's ready to go. So here's my basic belief. Tesla has 100 or thousands of hand-built Optimi in the Skunk Works learning to do useful tasks. The bots are already capable right now, they're capable of thousands of useful tasks. Since every bot is learning a new task every few days, and once one bot learns it, the information now uploaded to the system and all the bots can do those. So I'm saying thousands of useful tasks. Tesla has talent in factories all over Northern California, maybe Southern California and Texas too. This talent, I'm not saying they have talent. We know they have talent. They have talented individuals whose job it is, maybe in all 3 of these regions, they might have 20 or 30 or 50 or more of these folks who are going out into Tesla factories, into first tier supplier factories, into SpaceX. They might be going into In-N-Out or some other potential clients, and they are doing the videos. They have the 360-degree video thing that they wear, as a helmet video camera, and they are taking video in the job situation, and that information is being fed back to the Skunk Works, where these robots are then trained in these particular jobs. Then I believe that Tesla has begun tooling for mass production of yes. Tesla has also begun tooling for mass production of every single part of Optimus. That started in November. That's when Elon said it was going to start. I believe it's happening. And there's nothing that they're doing right now. No, not one of those parts, according to Scott Walter and others and me, and I do believe me, I know something about tooling products. There's nothing that they're tooling right now that's going to take more than 90 days to tool. Just not going to take longer than 90 days. Now, sometimes when you get the tooling back and there's misalignment, and so you have to redo. But today with CAD CAM and all the stuff that we've got on the computers, I think that it's way more likely that you get it right the first time, especially if you got the engineering talent that you do it at Tesla. But let's say there's a couple of retoolings that are required. So I'm going November. I'm saying by the end of March, every single tool is ready to go. All the parts fit together. All the parts work together. You can hand build these things in half a day, according to Scott Walter. And I'm saying they're going to be ready March 30th. every single product ready to go. They are then simultaneously buying and installing automation equipment to mass produce the final product. They're not going to wait until they have all of those parts ready to go. No, they're putting together that line right now. And it's not going to be that complicated a line. It's just not like a car line. It's going to be way easier. In fact, there's probably going to be Optimus bots, many Optimus bots on that line doing a lot of the work. Now, these lines might be on about the same timeline as the tooling. So maybe by the end of March, they will be ready to go. But I promise you that by April 20th, we will see final production products coming off the line and walking to the next station to be packaged for delivery. On April 20th, which I believe will be AI Day 3, it will take place and Optimus will be unveiled in all of his glory. Her glory, its glory. The first 10 to 50,000 bots will be produced and they will be used for Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company, some of the top tier suppliers, etc. And then a bunch will be sent out to do customer service in the showrooms and at the service centers because of course they will. Even if they don't do much, it'll be too much fun not to have them there. Some will be sent out to Pepsi and In-N-Out for testing and eventual rollout. Why do I think In-N-Out? Because that's the kind of thing In-N-Out would do. I mean, they're just so advanced. And Pepsi, because they've already got the relationship, so that'll let them do the warehouse work and things of that nature, unloading, loading trucks, all kinds of fun stuff. Tesla will then build at least 100,000 between June and December, and the demand will be greater than the demand was for the Cybertruck. Over the past several days, I have now, oh, I'm sorry. That is the end of I should have said that's, okay, I'm done. That's, okay. That's the end of that presentation, but I also want to let you know, this is prediction and prognostication. It's fun. It's, of course I'm going to be wrong on a lot of stuff, but I'm going to be right on a lot of stuff, or I'm going to be late on a lot of stuff, or I'm going to be too early on a lot of stuff, whatever it is, but it's fun to do it. I hope it's fun for you to watch it. Well, I've done 50. Some of those are included in here, but I've done 50 predictions. I've put those out over 5 videos. 4 of those videos are up right now. I'm going to put 3 of the cards for the second, third, and fourth day because you can only put 3 cards up. So if you want to find the first day, you can go back and find the first day as well. But there's going to be 5, and I think the 5th one will probably go up on Thursday. And that'll give you all 50 of my predictions about a whole range of things having to do with Tesla. So having said all that, you know what the Cybertruck bottle opener looks like, right? Yeah, so I don't have to get it out. I've put it away again and I can't see it right now. So remember you want one, and remember you have friends that want one, and you have family members that want several, and then you've got people at work that would love to have one, and you've got parties you're going to go to, birthdays and things coming up. You want to let your spouse know that you want one for Valentine's Day. So there's a whole bunch of ways that you want one of these Cybertruck bottle openers. So $25 for one, $45 for 2, $65 for 3, $90 for 4, and $110 for 5. And you send the money to Randy Kirk. I'm sorry, paypal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lowercase letters. And remember to say camouflage or regular. And then also, if you're outside the US, 20 extra bucks for freight. If you're way outside the US, over in Australia, New Zealand, China, Japan, any place over there, South Korea, please add $30. It costs a bunch of money to get them there. All right, so hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and that's it. It's been great talking to you.